with HTML and CSS lies with the fact that both languages are fairly simple, and often developers don't take them seriously, in terms of making sure the code is well crafted, efficient, and semantically describes the purpose of the features on the page. For cross-browser forms, it is probably better to rely on simple form elements, or selectively use advanced form elements only in supporting browsers, or using a library that provides decent cross-browser form widgets, such as jQuery UI or Bootstrap Date Picker. CSS fallback behavior. CSS is arguably better at fallbacks than HTML. CSS has a similar story. You need to check that your property names are spelled correctly, property values are spelled correctly and are valid for the properties they are used on, you are not missing any curly braces, and so on. The main areas we'll look at are lack of support for modern features, and layout issues. Older browsers not supporting modern features. This is a common problem, especially when you need to support old browsers, such as old IE versions, or you are using features that are implemented using CSS prefixes. Historically, web developers used to use CSS files called resets, which removed all the default browser styling applied to HTML, and then applied their own styles for everything over the top. This was done to make styling on a project more consistent, and reduce possible cross-browser issues, especially for things like layout. Responsive design problems are also common. A site that looks good in a desktop browser might provide a terrible experience on a mobile device, because the content is too small to read, or perhaps the site is slow because of expensive animations. As an example, in Firefox the CSS inspector will show CSS declarations that aren't applied crossed out, with a warning triangle. Hovering the warning triangle will provide a descriptive error message. Other browser dev tools have similar features. Flexbox is well supported in modern browsers, but provides problems in older browsers. IE9 doesn't support it at all, and IE10 and old versions of iOS/desktop Safari respectively support incompatible old versions of the Flexbox spec. CSS has a similar story. You need to check that your property names are spelled correctly, property values are spelled correctly and are valid for the properties they are used on, you are not missing any curly braces, and so on. On a non-supporting platform such as Firefox or Internet Explorer, the inputs will just fall back to normal text inputs, so at least the user can still enter some information. You can add fallback content in between the opening and closing tags, and non-supporting browsers will effectively ignore the outer element and run the nested content. A desktop layout, for example, will look terrible when viewed on a mobile device, so you need to provide a suitable mobile layout using media queries, and make sure it is applied correctly using Vue.